Okay, the Utah Jazz win again. Are you kidding me? Oh, I'm okay with it. But we got to talk about it. The Hoops Nerd Show starting now. All right, guys, the Utah Jazz win again. Tonight, it's against the Golden State Warriors, who, by the way, are in absolute trouble. Just a little bit about the Warriors. I mean, basically, this Warriors team is in their twilight. They trade for Jimmy Butler right before the game starts, so there's no Andrew Wiggins in this one to go up against Utah. Rough stuff for Warriors fans right now. This team is starting to look like basically a washed up version of its former self. They were up in this one. Utah comes back at the end. So exciting win for the Jazz. If you're rooting for the Jazz to win, this is an exciting game for Jazz fans. And if anything you got to be happy about for Jazz fans, you've got to be happy about these young players on the team improving and showing that they are the types of players that can win games. Just give them more time to develop. You'll see it. Now, the Warriors are absolutely on the other end. The other end of the spectrum, they are on the downward trend. They cannot win games against a Utah Jazz team that does not want to win. They do not want to win. Brandon Podziemski, the player that the Warriors refused to trade to the Utah Jazz for Lauri Markkanen, goes 29 points, but he just goes 3 for 10 from 3, 8 for 18. I think this was a career high for Podziemski. For Lauri Markkanen. They wouldn't give him up for Lauri Markkanen. So now I guess the end for this Warriors team is going to include Jimmy Butler. We'll see how that goes. Draymond Green goes 2 for 7, 0 for 4 from 3, 7 points, 9 assists, just not quite the same as he used to be. And then Steph Curry, who took 31 shots to try to win this game for the Warriors. They just basically rely on Steph to do everything at this point. He goes 38% from the field, 6 for 18 from 3, 32 points. Not great. 31 shots for Steph to get 32 points, just 2 free throws. He is not driving. He is not looking for contact. That right there, the 2 free throws, a sign of age. Rough stuff for the Warriors fans. We'll see if Jimmy Butler can change things. That's definitely going to help because Steph Curry needs someone to take some of this load off. I mean, you can just see that 31 shots for Steph Curry. That is a lot of burden, offensive burden that is for Steph Curry. So really tough. Not a lot else to say. This Warriors team is just going to be interesting to watch when they get Jimmy Butler. How much better does that make them? It'll make them better. I mean, he helps defensively for sure, although Jimmy Butler's getting up there too, but it's going to help to have that offensive focal point going through Jimmy Butler. Steph can play off of him. You can see how it can kind of work. Now, the spacing, I don't know. Jimmy Butler, he seems to rise in the playoffs with his shooting, but you know, it's still going to be a lot of kind of the Warriors are just going to be asking a lot of Steph offensively, especially with spacing the floor. You know what I mean? If Draymond's on the floor with with that post, whatever his name is on the Warriors, what's his name? Quentin Post. I'm not quite sure how much of a stretch center he is. That's just not a lot of shooting because you're putting Steph, Butler, Post, Green, Podziemski, man, not a lot of spread floor there. So that'll be interesting to watch with the Warriors. It makes them better for sure. The question is how much better. Maybe it's this incredible fit. Maybe it's not. We'll see. It'll be interesting. That's for sure. This is kind of the last gasp move for the Golden State Warriors. All right, guys, Utah wins again. And these games are getting close again. Utah needs to do something. Trade deadline is tomorrow. They are now third in the Tankathon standings behind New Orleans, who, by the way, just made a trade themselves. They traded Brandon Ingram for Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown, and I think a first-round pick. And we'll see. This Pelicans team is certainly doing their best to lose games too. It feels like they've already lost 2 more than Utah, so they hold the edge. Utah's 2 games behind in just games played and keeps winning games. Look at this. So Utah, let's just go to schedule and results here, has won this game tonight. They won, that's 2 of their last 3. They barely lost to the Pacers too. So Utah needs to make a trade. And the big one they've got to do is the biggest rumors out there are John Collins and Colin Sexton. I believe Sarah Todd from Deseret has been talking about some of the calls Utah's getting on those players. We know there's teams out there interested in John Collins. The question is, can they trade Jordan Clarkson? But 2 of the last 3 for Utah, that is nerve-wracking because these standings in the lottery change super quick. Look at that. Utah is in a 3-way tie, and it is a slippery slope from 2 to 4. It happens real quick, so Utah needs to be careful with what they're doing. I enjoyed this win tonight. It's really satisfying and really fun to see these players improving. Keyonte George is showing great signs, improving. Isaiah Collier, look at this tonight, just improvement. In fact, we'll go through each player like we do. But it's nice to see. And then Walker Kessler, all 3 of those players, including Jordan Clarkson, who we know what he can do here and there. It's not always very consistent, but we know that he can do it. You can get wins. And then John Collins too. But seeing that Collier, Keyonte George, Walker Kessler together making game-winning plays, a big-time comeback at the end of the game, that's a great sign for the rookies. And so, I want to make sure Utah, I want to make sure, I hope the Jazz are making sure that they lock down that number 2 spot in the lottery. Although the other thing that's a little scary is the Charlotte Hornets just made another trade. They traded Mark Williams to the Los Angeles Lakers. They get back Dalton Connect and a 2031 unprotected pick. So those Charlotte Hornets are definitely going for the tank, and they're tied with Utah. So, it's nerve-wracking stuff, guys. It's nerve-wracking stuff. But it is fun. So this is this season. It is like the weirdest set of emotions. It's like, yay! But yeah! But I don't know. That's basically the emotions of the season for the Jazz. What are you doing? What are you doing? All right, it's okay. We'll figure it out. We've had worse moments this season with kind of worse wins. This is a tough win because, you're not going to lose every game, but you sure wish they would. By the way, I think the Wizards won again. They've won like 3 of their last 4. That's what's like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at this. They're almost catchable, but then every time I think we're going to catch them, we win a game. No, Danny! 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 Do it! Do it, Danny! Come on! Come on, Danny! Make the trade! Come on! Come on! All right, Svi Mikhailiuk makes plays for the Jazz team. I don't quite know why we signed him, but there he goes. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded tomorrow. Maybe. But let's take a look at the best players for Utah tonight. For sure, John Collins. He missed all his 3s tonight. It's fine. 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 19 points, 7 for 15 from the field. He's just worth his contract at this point. We've talked about this a little bit, but, the resurgence and on the playback, by the way, I put the link to the playback in the description. So make sure you go to that playback and start watching games with me. We have a lot of fun, and I love growing that community. It's a blast. But we just talk about it, and we were listening to the Golden State Warriors broadcast. Sorry, Capture the Flag. I told you we were going to listen to the opposing thing, and they just talked about how, and this is other teams noticing it, that John Collins has just made a huge resurgence in his career. Absolutely just turned his career around. He had that broken finger with the Hawks, and it really screwed with his jump shot that one year. And I honestly wonder if he finally feels like he's back to his self. He's really in his prime right now. And he looks like a prime player. He's smart. He makes good decisions. He's tough as nails. He doesn't back down from anyone. He plays hard. Yes, he has some defensive deficiencies, but him next to Walker Kessler has really turned things around. In fact, let's bring up some stats here. Let's just have some fun here with, not StatHead. Get out of here, StatHead. Let's go to the standings here. Oh, by the way, did I cancel my StatHead? I better have. Maybe I better do that tonight. Anyways, let's see. So, no, not standings. Let's go to stats. And I just want to see the Jazz defensive rating. They were talking about it on the Warriors broadcast, that Utah's defensive rating has turned around. Let's go to advanced. Well, for now, let's just look. So Utah right now, in terms of defensive rating, oh, these are players, not teams. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let us switch to teams. Advanced. Okay, here we go. Come on. All right, defensive rating. Utah for the season has improved to 28. Pretty good sign. Let's change that now to last 15 games. Let's see. Look at that. Indiana, 12 wins, 3 losses. Interesting. So Oklahoma City, no surprise, is the number 1 defensive team. The Clippers, number 2. Interesting. Boston, 3. Look at that. Portland Trail Blazers, 4. And you'll notice the Portland Trail Blazers have won like 9 of their last 10. If you want to win games, you defend the basketball. It isn't just something dads like. It's what champions do. You win. Defense wins champions. Well, maybe the Warriors are wrong. Utah's still 26. Never mind. We thought it would be interesting. It was not. It was not. Look at the last 3 games. Just to prove a point. Utah, number 7 defense. There we go. Proving our bias with hand-picked stats. I don't care what I have to do to prove my point. No matter how much I have to bend the truth or change the statistics, I will do it. I care not. Anyways, Utah's defending better, and John Collins playing next to Walker Kessler looks legitimately pretty good. Utah just has to limp into the lottery. How do I describe this? Because they're not limping. They're hop, skipping, and jumping over their players they're resting to get there. We've just got to make it. The number 2 record, please. Once we go to lottery night, then I don't care, but we've got to make it into the top 3 come lottery night, please. I was listening to Brian Windhorst this morning or last night, whatever. I don't care. But I was listening to him talk about Utah getting a top 3 pick, and I was like, please, that's all I want. I don't care if it's number 1. If we can just get a top 3, I'm so happy. I'm so happy if we get to choose between Cooper, Dillon, or Ace. If we get one of those 3 guys, I'm ecstatic. Because I tell you what, when you look at what Will Hardy has enabled John Collins and Walker Kessler and Jordan Clarkson and Collier, Sensabaugh, George, he definitely 100% gets the best version out of each player on this team with multiple reasons. He sets up an offense that's both pretty simple to understand, yet with multiple options. It allows the players to read the defense and make the right play. Those are the best offenses. I'm convinced at this point that offenses that are simpler, that allow the players to make reads on the fly, whether it's drive, pass out, kick out, step back 3, whatever it is, where you make the decision to make the right play and the coach trusts you and offenses. That's what the Jazz are doing. It is option offense, and I love it. I love it. I love it. On top of that, he allows the players to have an option offense where they get to make the choice. And when they are not doing well, when they are making poor choices or selfish choices, he absolutely rips into them. We've seen this multiple times. We saw a few days ago where Will Hardy was absolutely ripping into Keyonte George. He's ripping into Bryce Sensabaugh. The Jazz have enabled him to coach this team 100%, and this right here, what the Jazz did tonight, This is what the fruits of that are. Whereas before Will Hardy, you had Quinn Snyder, where there were no consequences to your actions. And we see these consequences to their actions for this team with Will Hardy because he changes the lineups. Keyonte George goes to the bench, and guess what? He's gotten better. Consequences improve your performance because you have to improve. And there you go. Keyonte George tonight. Look at that stat line. It's sparkling, including a game-winning shot. I got to swallow my spit. Keyonte George, 30 minutes, 61% from the field, 50% from three, takes 8 free throws. Like we said, he's the best at drawing free throws on the Jazz. Takes 8 free throws, 6 assists, 26 points. This was off the bench. He got benched like 2 weeks ago, and he's absolutely proving that he is going to earn his way back in the starting unit. Freaking amazing. And guess what? He did not complain when Jordan Clarkson got the start over him when Colin Sexton sits out, right? Could have pouted, could have had a bad attitude. All he did was come in and win the basketball game. If that isn't culture, I don't know what is. And that does not happen without Will Hardy and without this Jazz front office setting it up. Now, we got to lose these games. We got to lose these games. But every sign that we're seeing when we win the games is incredibly positive. If this Utah Jazz team for the rest of this season and tomorrow does their job, do the job, Danny. Trade them. Do the trades. But if they do the right thing and they go into next season, they have Cooper Flagg or Dylan Harper. Oh my gosh, if the Utah Jazz get Dylan Harper, can you imagine with his offensive talent what he could do in a Will Hardy offense with the option play, and you have someone like Collier or Keyonte George playing off of him at all times? Taylor Hendricks coming back? Will Hardy is going to absolutely feast. And then you've got Walker Kessler, who's making big-time winning plays. Are you serial? It's going to happen, and it's going to be nice to see. So anyways, John Collins just absolutely playing great. Now back to the point. Walker Kessler, are you serial? 15 points, 18 rebounds, 2 assists. One of these was an absolute dime to a cutting, I can't remember who it was, for a dunk. He has 3 blocked shots in this one. He crushed the Warriors tonight. With Walker Kessler playing, the Jazz become a good basketball team. They have got to surround him with defensive talent. That's why I'm kind of, and by the way, no Lauri Markkanen tonight. No Lauri Markkanen tonight. The Jazz won this with Keyonte George, Isaiah Collier, and Walker Kessler, and then obviously a big night from Jordan Clarkson and John Collins. So those 2 vets, the ones the Jazz are trying to trade, ironically, they're the 2 players that start instead of Lauri Markkanen, if you want to put on your tinfoil hats. But John Collins, Jordan Clarkson, with Isaiah Collier, Keyonte George, and Walker Kessler winning against the Golden State Warriors, who 100% did everything they could to win this game, and Utah wins it. And that last play, I mean, honestly, how exciting for Jazz fans has that got to be? Watching Walker Kessler on one hand, I mean, if you squint your eyes, it looks like Rudy Gobert, but he blocks the shot. They go the other way. Collier leading the break, finding Keyonte George on the wing to knock down the 3 to win the game. I mean, come on. Could you script a better outcome for this team if you're trying to win the game? Right? Right? Rudy who? His name's Walker Kessler now, baby. All right, but anyways, just monster stat line from Walker Kessler. Jordan Clarkson, like I mentioned, he, in a lot of ways, won this game for the Jazz, was hitting big shots at the end and hitting shots just basically all night. 10 for 19 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, perfect from the free throw line, 6 free throws, 5 assists. Arguably one of the best nights Jordan Clarkson's ever had with the Jazz. And it may have been his last one. I doubt it. I don't know if there's a team out there getting Jordan Clarkson. Utah may have to just kind of give him away, and it's worth it. It is worth it because Utah needs to fill this starting unit with a superstar. If you put, guys, I cannot emphasize enough. If Utah can get a superstar in the draft, if they can get a Cooper Flagg or Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey even, I think that VJ Edgecombe has incredible potential. You put a superstar on this Jazz team, coached by Will Hardy, in this culture, with what they've set up, you've got yourself quite the team, and you'll have quite the long-term set of wins. I can't tell you. It's going to be so freaking hard for this team to lose and be in the bottom 8 next year. I don't know how they're going to do it. They've got to trade these veterans. I don't know. This offseason is going to be incredible because I want AJ DeBonsa in a Jazz jersey. Utah and BYU fans, whatever, all of the fans that live in the state of Utah and watch college basketball will see AJ DeBonsa next year, and they'll understand why Utah Jazz probably are going to go for DeBonsa. It just seems like that's what they want to do. I don't know how they're going to do it. This team wins too many games with these players. Like Keyonte George and Isaiah Collier are becoming very good players. You know, Walker Kessler is looking like, at least top 10 center in the NBA, if not like top 6, 7. You know, he's just becoming really, really good. Now, I don't think Walker Kessler is going to make an all-star team, but he's definitely going to be a high-level starter for a long time. And if he can improve in certain areas with his free throw shooting, we'll not even expect a three-point shot, but if he ever did, holy cow, does he become kind of, dynamic. But yeah. So anyways, Isaiah Collier, unbelievable stuff. He has just gotten better and better and better every single game. Yes, he missed all 5 threes. The shot looks pretty good. He seems like a guy that is going to go into this offseason and shoot 1,000 threes a day, and then maybe 1,000 threes for breakfast, 1,000 threes for lunch, and 1,000 threes for dinner. I hope that's what he does. I hope he has a steady diet of basketball. Okay, this offseason is what I want to see because this guy has a chance to be really nice. Utah, it's funny, out of these 3 draft picks they got, Cody Williams is out with a turned ankle. And by the way, that might be the answer, honestly, to we haven't really heard an update on Cody Williams, by the way. Speaking of, everyone forgot about Cody Williams. Well, part of the reason is because Isaiah Collier is probably the best rookie they got. And he just looks unbelievable. He plays 34 minutes in this one, 50% from the field. That's with missing 5 threes. So when you take those 5 threes away, what's the numbers there? 9 divided by 13. I know math. He shoots 69% from the 2-point range. Nice. Freaking nice. 2-point shots, he goes 69%. He is scoring. This is kind of incredible stuff where he was struggling to shoot the ball at all. At the start of the season, Collier was not even wanting to shoot the ball at all. Now he's going out there shooting almost 70% from 2, and they know that they want to take away the 3. You cannot quantify, I guess someone could, you cannot quantify how much development that's going on. It's incredible. It's why I believe in coaching. I think the best thing, and one of the superstars the Jazz have on this team already, and that's why it's been hard for this Jazz team to lose games, Will Hardy is a superstar. He really is. I am absolutely such a fan. And, you know a good team and a good culture when the front office enables the coach. When you have front office and ownership dictating things and fighting with the coaches, which is more common than you think. In fact, last regime was happening. Now it seems like everything is in place. Why am I doing this? What is that? What are you doing? That's a good front office. That's a good team doing smart stuff. And I can't tell you guys, if they can get a superstar in the draft, if they can just get one, Will Hardy is good enough to take this team pretty far. And they've got to get... I cannot wait to see him come back. It's why I kind of feel like, man, if Utah finds an incredible... I don't know, guys. There's a world where Taylor Hendricks develops. Utah gets a superstar like a Cooper Flagg. How fun. How fun would that be? Could you imagine? Oh my gosh, that sounds so much fun. I just want that so badly. I want a championship in Utah, and I can see it. I can taste it. You can see that light at the end of this tunnel. You just got to make sure you don't get out of the tunnel too quickly. If you get out of the tunnel too quickly, you can break things up. You got to keep the path that you're on and do it the right way. Anyways, really nice to see this development from Collier. But look at this, 20 points, 11 assists. I mean, come on. And this was double-digit assists last game. His last game against Indiana, look what he does against Indiana. Collier, let's see, where are you, Collier? Right there, look at this. 10 assists, 11 points last game. Tonight, 20 points, 11 assists. Are you kidding me? I mean, do Utah Jazz have a point guard that's going to average 10 assists per game? That is not very common. In fact, let's go to right here. Let's just go to the raw stats. Let's just look at the leaders. So we'll go to assists here. Look at this. De'Aaron Fox, 13 assists. Oh, that's for tonight. Season leaders. Trae Young is the season leader. He's at 11.5 assists per game. Where is it? Okay, right there. 11.5 assists per game. Nikola Jokic at 10.3. If Isaiah Collier averages 10 assists per game, which I don't think is crazy with what he's doing with like 32 to 36 minutes per game at least, why can't he do this? With like, if Lauri Markkanen is playing on the Jazz next year and shooting threes, and if he consistently hits shots, I mean, come on. That's pretty special stuff, guys. That is pretty special stuff. At this amount of assists, incredible. You know what I mean? Utah has a nice player. What I'm thinking when I see these players is this a player I can see on a championship team? That's how we should look at every single player. Is this a player that you can win a championship with? I think Walker Kessler is a player you can have on a championship winning team. If you have the right chemistry and enough shooting and defense on the floor. You know, you're going to have some incredible offensive firepower to kind of make up for the fact that he's not a stretch center, but you can still win that way. Utah, if they do win the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, you can see the path to a championship with that because he is going to be an elite defensive player. If you combine a Cooper Flag with Walker Kessler, Isaiah Collier, who, by the way, is looking like a really nice defender in his own right, that's like three above average to, not just above, like good to great defenders on the floor. Let's say Utah develops Taylor Hendricks and he becomes a very nice offensive, like a catch and shoot three, drive and dunk, efficient offensive player. If you had an offense where you're getting like Collier, Hendricks, Cooper Flag, Walker Kessler, and then I don't know if Keyonte George is going to start at the 2 or becomes just an elite sixth man. You can see it, right? Can you guys see it? I can see it. I can see it. But they need that defensive firepower. You've got, and it's basically every championship team since the dawn of time. But if you are to win a championship, you got to be top 10 offense and top 10 defense, and preferably top 5. There I go again. Top 5. And if you do that, you are championship caliber. And that's what you're trying to do. And you tend to do that by having a superstar filled with incredible two-way role players, right? And, another star next to your superstar. That's basically, at this point in the NBA, with the way and how strict the CBA is, you cannot do the 3-star thing. The Phoenix Suns are proving it. These teams that try to do that because they can't fill their team with other with enough role players that are high enough performing that they can win. It just doesn't happen. Boston kind of proved how you do it. You've got to have your superstar and then you've got to have your secondary superstar like they have with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But you have to have a superstar. You just do. And if Utah can get that superstar and then have these players continue to develop, and then you get those other picks coming in and you just develop, Utah could do it. They absolutely could do it, because the way you get those high-level role players is what the Jazz are doing right now. Exactly what the Jazz are doing right now. And so if you do that and you get those players, then you can use those picks to either trade for a secondary superstar, but you got to be careful. It's the teams that have 2 stars and they trade away all their depth for a third. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You need a 2 superstar filled with elite role players. That is basically the formula with this CBA, because you only have a certain amount of, it's basically a hard cap at this point for the NBA. The NBA has slowly worked their way to be like the NFL, where it is a hard cap, and so the teams that are smarter, that have a superstar, are the teams that win, and that have good, smart front offices and good, smart coaching. Utah's got a lot of the pieces to get there. They just need their superstar, long-term player. If you, guys, I can't tell you if they get Cooper Flagg, how much that's going to change things and how quickly this becomes the beginning of, I don't know if dynasty is the word, but of some sort of championship contention. Look at the Spurs. It's already happening. They get Wembanyama. He shows that he's incredible, and then other players want to join him. There is no reason why that can't happen with Utah. There is no reason why Utah, if they get Cooper Flagg, don't have other guys out there wanting to join the bandwagon. You know? And if not, it doesn't matter, because they have enough picks to draft those players, and they have enough good coaching to develop those guys. It's going to happen. This draft is going to be incredible for Utah. And if they can just win the lottery by losing the games, right? It's just what they got to do. It's what the Jazz are doing. They're doing a great job. They won this game tonight, which is crazy. The way they can keep doing this, though, trade John Collins, trade Jordan Clarkson, trade Colin Sexton if you can, and just run these guys, play a lot of just Elijah Harkless. Oscar Tshiebwe needs to get a lot of minutes to end this season. You know what I mean? They aren't trading Lauri Markkanen, by the way. So, guys, I can't tell you how exciting this is. We already talked about Keyonte George, but really impressive night for him. 26 points, 6 assists, 61 from the field, 50 from 3. Just a big-time night. Those are just big-time numbers. And you can't take that for granted. That's against a Warriors team trying to win. Gary Payton Jr. guarding. You know what I mean? This is not something you just kind of do. This is a good sign. So Keyonte George, maybe that's his destiny as just an elite 6th man. Like maybe he can be kind of the Manu Ginobili of the Utah Jazz. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how things pan out. In the end, all that matters is that you win the basketball game. And guess what? The best players get the most minutes. And Keyonte George played 30, Collier 34, Clarkson 33, Kessler 35, and then Collins 30, right? So that's basically your best starting unit. In fact, you could argue, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's their best 5. They ran them the most minutes. Sometimes basketball's not very complicated. Micah Potter played, we'll just always give a Micah Potter shout out, I guess. I don't know. I don't have anything to say about that. And then Filipowski with 12 minutes, quietly continuing to just kind of show that he's an NBA player. There's nights where he has better nights, and there's nights where he's a little more quiet like tonight. But you know what? It's okay. Giving Filipowski long minutes is a good thing. Johnny Juzang also played tonight, came back from kind of a long injury period, and he was 1 for 3. That's it. Sometimes I don't know what to say, guys. You tell me in the comments. What do you say about Johnny Juzang? I don't know. He can shoot the ball, and he shot it 3 times, and he made it once. There is your analysis. By the way, on the playback tonight, it cut my video feed off. I was giving a lesson on X-Men. By the way, timeout. X-Men moment. So, all the X-Men rumors. This is X-Men moment. I'm sorry, you're going to get it. This is an X-Men moment. But they are recreating X-Men, and it just leaked that they hired an actress to play the part of Kitty Pryde, most underrated X-Men character. She's freaking cool. And it kind of sounds to me like they are following the storyline of the original Chris Claremont compendium. I forgot the word. Omnibus. X-Men Omnibus 1, which is the one where it starts and it gets interesting. Professor X ends the original X-Men team, the first unit, which was Cyclops, Angel, Jean Grey, Beast before he became the Monkey, and then I think it was Iceman. That's the original X-Men team that when X-Men came out and it was not very good, and they didn't have, no one read it. X-Men Omnibus 1 is when Chris Claremont takes over and X-Men became what it is. It became the smash hit. It is the best storyline, guys. My favorite part about X-Men Omnibus 1, where Chris Claremont is literally, they talk in the comics that we can't get the Avengers, I guess we'll take the X-Men. They're basically like the ragtag group that they use to win these fights. And what's amazing is they go and they lose all the time. Every time they play Magneto, they lose. The X-Men had to tank to be great. They had to take their lumps against Magneto. And so the original Chris Claremont team, X-Men team number 2 from Omnibus 1, Wolverine, Cyclops. And by the way, it ain't an X-Men team if Cyclops ain't leading it. Wolverine, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Colossus, Jean Grey, Storm. Did I say Colossus? And Banshee. Give Banshee his flowers. Give Banshee his flowers. Also, he's dating Moira McTaggart. Shout out to Banshee. Shout out to Banshee. But you know who we also get in X-Men Omnibus 1? In X-Men Omnibus 1, we get Thunderbird. There is no cooler storyline or sad storyline than the death of Thunderbird. And I'm sorry if I gave you a spoiler, but it might be coming. The death of Thunderbird. I nearly cried. And then Jean Grey, who we get the beginning of the Phoenix in X-Men Omnibus 1. She goes up into outer space with the X-Men. They cannot return. Jean Grey sacrifices her life. She literally dies. But then in that moment when she dies, the Phoenix resurrects her, becomes one with her soul. They become one entity. And that becomes the problem of Jean Grey and the scary underlying story arc that creates tension in every single comic. They don't know when it's going to happen, when the Dark Phoenix will come, and they know that she will die. It is incredible. They better do X-Men right this time. They better do it right. Do it right, or I'm gonna be mad. But in Omnibus 2, that's when we get the Dark Phoenix, and Dark Phoenix has to die. Guys, by the way, if you have not watched X-Men 97, incredible stuff. Okay, back to the jazz. How did we get more viewers during that? How did we? I had to give that because the playback cut me out, and I will not have my X-Men stuff silenced. No. And shout out to Colossus. Holy smokes, guys. When they kill Proteus, and it has to be Colossus, that's what makes X-Men great, is because they put the X-Men in situations where they have to make the toughest decisions. They have to kill Proteus, but Colossus is the most pacifist of the X-Men. He does not want to kill anyone. He literally quits the X-Men at a certain point because he can't handle it. He goes. They cannot defeat Proteus unless some sort of electric current can do it. So Colossus has to climb the mountain, go against everything he believes to kill Proteus. Moira McTaggart's son! Her evil son. And he does it. And it's amazing. And I cannot wait. I hope they have these stories. I hope so. So much. I hope so much. If we have the Proteus storyline, it's incredible. It's like violent. It's crazy. It's insane. He basically takes over people's bodies and sucks their life energy and just moves from person to person, and they just die like a decrepit. It's incredible. So they have to stop him. He's basically a serial killer, and the X-Men have to stop. It's incredible. Do it right, Disney. Do it right. All right, guys. Should we do our what would happen if the Jazz win the lottery? Hey, we're going to talk about whatever. The Jazz won tonight, and it's stressful. So we got to, sometimes you got to talk X-Men. But even the X-Men had to lose to Magneto, who, by the way, is like, it's kind of funny every single time they fight X-Men, and you read the comic, and they just, like lose. It's kind of amazing. All right. Let's see. Do the Jazz get a Wolverine in this draft? Do they get a Sunfire who's out of the X-Men after like 2 comics? Sunfire, who decided he didn't want to be a part of the X-Men, he goes to Japan. Talk about fumbling the bag, Sunfire. Sunfire, you could have been something. Instead, you go back. You don't join the X-Men. All right. If the lottery was today, by the way, Utah falls to 3. Not great, Bob. What would happen? Boom! Utah at least wins the lottery, but they get the 4th spot. I'll take it. That ensures they at least get VJ Edgecombe. Phenomenal. Chicago gets the number 2. Holy smokes. And Toronto gets the number 1 pick. Cooper Flag to Toronto. Are you serious? Are you serial? All right. Well, this means that Utah gets Mr. VJ Edgecombe, who, by the way, I'm pretty excited about. VJ Edgecombe's looking really good. Like, really good, guys. I'm excited about it. All right. Let's give a shout out to the All-Stars. These are the ones that make it happen. Like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel. But if you'd like to join and become one of the All-Stars or one of the rookies, I would appreciate it greatly. Let's give a shout out to the All-Stars tonight. A shout out to Dirty Jazz Car Wash Channel. I Believe in Steve, Jazz Exile, Ryan Edward Perry, The Legend, Baby Elliot Madsen, See Ya, Alexa Later, Christian House Money to Haas, Jordan the Goat Best Roll, Austin R. Grant Editor Extraordinaire, KG10 to TH5, and Patrick Akubo, the Connoisseur. Guys, like I said, like the video, subscribe to the channel.